Nine News' Mike Klis took that opportunity tonight for whatever reason. Actually, I know the reason, and we all know the reason. I'll go over it here momentarily to just kind of poke at Nuggets fans, I guess. And I'll read his tweet here. He said, "We finally pay attention to the Nuggets, and they're getting blown out at half by Warriors. Can we get back to and I don't even know how to pronounce this guy's name, Scangarello Watch, which is basically saying, can we get back to talking about the Broncos?" Now, okay, this is an annoying take. He took the opportunity to try to diminish the Nuggets, and he has an incentive to do this, as does the radio station 104.3 The Fan, who's talked about this quite a bit, that they, for whatever reason, the Fan has refused to invite us on their shows and has sort of talked about the irrelevance of the Denver Nuggets and just kind of not been open to the people covering the Nuggets or just Nuggets fans in general. And there's a reason for this, especially for Klis. He has an incentive, because he follows the Denver Broncos, to create this idea that the Broncos are the only team in this town that matter and that nobody else wants to talk about the Nuggets. So he has an incentive to try to push this narrative. This is not the city of Denver that I know. And obviously the Broncos are king. I love the Broncos. My family loves, my wife is a Bronco nut. But we have an incredibly large and vibrant fan base. I mean, just this last weekend, we packed our watch party so full that people couldn't even get inside the door. We had to turn people away an hour before the event even began. I know that there's a Nuggets fan base out there. Our site gets tens of thousands of people per day who come to check out the Denver Nuggets. I talk to Nuggets fans every day and from all over the world and every corner of our city. One of the cool things about my job is now I get people stopping by every Nuggets game, stopping by to come say hi to me. And the people that come say hi to me aren't just 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds and all the same type of person. I get generations of people that come, guys that bring their dad and say, "Oh, my dad and I listen to the show," and we text. In fact, I have to give a shout out to Butch and Kathy. I hated that this is the point I had to give the shout out, but somebody on Twitter sent me a really cool text back and forth that he has with his mom that cited the Locked On Nuggets podcast because they all listened. The whole family listens to it together. I know that there's a fan base of people. So shout out Butch and Kathy. It was your son sent me that text, and I thought it was so awesome. Something about, as Mata says, the ball is popping. Oh, it really made my day. They're just all ages, all types of people that like the Denver Nuggets fans. So I know that this lie that certain media outlets are incentivized to perpetuate is exactly that, a lie. It is not true. And there's something, and what's worse, there's something cynical about what guys like Mike Klis are doing when they say things like this. Now, I don't share my political beliefs very often on the show. In fact, I don't think I ever have. I don't do that on Denver Stiffs or on Twitter. And it's not because I don't have strong opinions about these things. In many cases, I have very strong opinions. And it's not because I think athletes should stick to sports or that reporters should just stick to sports and choose to refrain from political commentary. It's because I have seen that I now have a role as a public figure to a small audience, but to an audience nonetheless. And I take that very seriously. I really feel like I have a platform that provides me an opportunity to spread a little joy and a little passion with the world. And we get to do that at Denver Stiffs in a lot of different ways. Our charity event is one of the coolest things that we do. And it's so cool to see so many Nuggets fans come together for love of the Nuggets to do something good with this world. But it's also, some of my favorite reviews on iTunes and messages I get, emails I get, are the people that say that I make their day a little bit better by getting to share this show, or that I've helped foster a whole new level of passion about the Denver Nuggets. I've talked to people that say, "Oh, I've been a Denver Nuggets fan for 20 years, but listening to your show makes me even more of a fan because you point out things I didn't even realize, and now I get to like it even more, or you just cover it in a way that is infectious." And that's really, to me, that's really what it's all about. Having something that, it really, like life is having something that makes you happy and finding ways to share that happiness with the world. We all log on to the internet every single day. I mean, the internet's a part of our lives. And if you're like me, you're on the internet for like 12 hours a day. It's frightening how much it is. but it's part of our lives, and we connect with each other in ways that I think we still don't fully understand or appreciate. But I'm conscious of the fact that when I engage with people online, I try to engage in a way that's positive and just makes the world a little bit better. As I mentioned, I have a passion for the Denver Nuggets and a passion for the game of basketball, and I want to share that with other people, and I want them to be able to feel that passion. And it seems to me more and more, certainly in this country, but also in this world, we're increasingly susceptible to becoming divided along tribal lines. If you listen to country music and live in the suburbs, drive a pickup truck, you belong in one category. If you listen to hip hop and live downtown or prefer to take the light rail, you belong in a different category. And I've said this before on this show, and I'm going to say it again. One thing I love about sports is that they're one of the few things in modern society where a city sheds every label and comes together as one group. People of every walk of life come together under one roof to cheer on their favorite team. When the crowd started chanting in the third quarter of this game with the Nuggets down 20, when the crowd just out of nowhere started chanting, "Let's go Nuggets," trying to implore their team to show some fight, undoubtedly, there were Republicans and Democrats chatting that. There were people of faith, there was rich, there was poor, there was people of every race, and they were all, the entire cross-section of the city of Denver was chanting along together as one body. And it's those moments that I think give you goosebumps and kind of make you think, yeah, sports, that's something worth preserving. That's something worth fighting for. And Mike Klis, with his tweet tonight about trying to diminish the Nuggets, he wasn't trying to, for any nefarious reasons, divide the city or anything like that. He was doing it for very selfish reasons. He benefits from people not liking the Nuggets because it puts more attention on him covering the Denver Broncos. Just as the fan, I believe, does the exact same thing. They benefit if the Broncos are the only show in town because that's what they're most positioned to cover. But at what cost? Do people like Mike Klis really care so much about staying on top that they take no pride at all in a team right next door, even though the jerseys say Denver across the chest? Do people like Mike Klis and the fan care more about tomorrow's ratings than about preserving one of the few things that bind a city together? See, I believe in the power of sports, and I think my life would be a lot less interesting and a lot less fulfilled if it were void of sports. So why attempt to rob someone else of that joy just for personal gain? To me, there's something very cynical about that, and I hope the people of this city, of my city, don't fall for it. I love my Denver Broncos. I love my Colorado Rockies. I love my Colorado Avalanche, and I love my Denver Nuggets. And most of all, I love sharing that passion with every one of you.